Hi,
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
good.
Natalie.
Thanks. Thank you for making time for me. So I want to just take the time to talk to you about Bill House Bill 542, Senate Bill 288, also known as the Racially Inclusive Curriculum Bill. So where this is actually, it's sitting right now in the Education Committee, and we're hoping that both our state representatives, Denise Garlick, and also our Senate representative recommend it forward. They will make a decision on whether or not to recommend this bill forward in February. So they're still accepting testimonial up until I believe February 7th, of why this bill is important to us as a community. And I, as a member of the Real Coalition, as part of the Indian Public Real Coalition, I feel like it's just so much aligned with the work. So high level, what does this bill do? It mandates that that racially inclusive curriculum be available to all school districts, and by and part of that is actually making sure that there's a trust fund available to fund the work from a professional development perspective, from a curriculum development perspective, and it would also, so I'm not sure how much of you guys know about it, but I've been in conversation with DESE, so I know that they've been rolling out the social study curriculum. So part of the social study curriculum is that they're actually getting funding from like the literacy bucket that is from the state, but that money that actually funds that work will shortly, they said that it's going to run out, and they're looking for another source of funding. So this is like an avenue to provide like DESE with like the resources to provide and implement their social study curriculum. Beyond just social study, the bill is really to look at like making sure that the histories of groups that are traditionally underrepresented are available, not just in social study curriculum, but kind of across like in the arts and the visual. So just really kind of more broad stroke than that, but that's kind of the bill in a nutshell. Is there anything I can ask answer any questions about?
Not only does the bill recommend specific things that should be in the curriculum, or just that there should be a curriculum?
That there should be a curriculum, but does not mandate any kind of like material, because the idea is that we expect the expert to be able to do this work, and we trust the expert to do it. So the funding, the trust fund will, will work with the expert and the school district to develop. But really what it is actually giving district autonomy to be able to develop their own curriculum. So no, there's no mandate of curriculum, no mandate. There are suggested topics that we want to cover, but the idea is that we want students to have coming out to have like perspective that includes like all racial group, including groups that are historically marginalized or underrepresented.
Does anybody have a question? Natalie,
It sounds like a very broad bill.
It is.
There are no specifics as to,
just out of curiosity, Natalie, who is against it, and like what is there anybody that's like working actively to not have this passed?
Not that we're aware of. I do want to put a disclaimer that in California, there have been pushback groups that kind of push back against it because they don't like the curriculum that is mandated. But our bill is very we take that in consideration, and that's the reason why there's no mandate of material. And we want to give district the leverage and the capacity to be able to develop their own curriculum as needed. So no. So there has been pushback, but that's on a curriculum type perspective, and that's not what we have in this bill.
What about funding? Are there questions about how it's going to be funded?
So we're basically hoping that it's basically there'll be state funding, there'll be private donors, but the private donors will be vetted by the commissioner before it gets approved into the pot. So it's basically a private public partnership. but it would, you know, the public part would need to be vetted, and approved before it goes into the trust fund.
And when is it slated to be up for a vote?
So this February is actually when, so right now, this bill is sitting within the education committee. So that's, chaired by, Representative Garlick. So she needs to favorably vote the bill out of committee to move forward. So that's kind of where it is right now. It's kind of at you know, this is something we've been working on for multiple years since 2020. So this is kind of like a turning point for us, because we're like, oh, there might be a chance that she and, you know, two people who kind of been supporting the bill will hopefully push it along and recommend it out of committee for it to go on to the next level. So that's kind of where we are.
Since she is in our district, is there anything that we as individuals or the Human Rights Committee could do to say, this is something we support?
Yeah. So you know, I would definitely recommend submitting testimonials to her of why, you know, having a racially inclusive bill is very important. I mean, here's one thing, you know, we're doing it here in Needham. We are like on the forefront of this. We got funding, we got professional funding from DESE. We basically have revamped our Pollyanna curriculum, and we have really pushed it forward within our own district. So we are, as a district, school district has been, you know, doing this like racially inclusive curriculum. So what, you know, as individuals of like, you know, residents of Needham can do is just writing a letter saying, you know, we support this bill, this aligns with what's happening in our town, this aligns with our values as a town, to, you know, make sure that the next generation is well equipped with like the perspective of like, you know, their peers, like all their peers essentially. And not just, you know, the traditional perspective that usually get in textbooks.
I didn't get in at the school committee watching that while you were presenting, but I saw Denise Garlick's response. I think it's clear that feels like she came from a place, Needham, that already was doing these things, and she personally is very supportive of it. So what we need to do is to bolster that support so that, that's the way all the bills are. They get stuck in committee until there's enough.
Yeah,
momentum.
exactly, and unless there's enough momentum. But I feel like our district is like so special in the sense that we have been doing this work, and I was like, hey, we're doing this work already. Why don't we share this perspective with like, you know, other school district that may not, you know, have the resources or, you know, have the have thought about it as far. And this trust fund will allow them to do the work. I mean, they need to apply for the grant, and there's a process, but it's providing training for teachers that, you know, haven't really been taught this type of material.
Anybody else have any other questions?
If you
Yeah.
guys actually take a look at, just search, you know, House or H542 on the Massachusetts like bill site, that, and click into text, that's actually very, has like
Yep.
all the details of
I'll
like,
link it in our minutes.
sorry, what is it?
I'm gonna link it in our minutes. I already
Oh, yeah.
found it, so I'll
Yeah.
link it in the minutes.
Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, so that basically would, you know, allow you to like see the actual verbiage that is actually, it's in there. It's pretty comprehensive, but I think it really shies away from curriculum that, you know, was it has been, but where people can getting, or like states have been getting pushed back. Ultimately, California passed their bill, but they got pushed back because there were mandates on type of like curriculum that was being taught. But that's not our bill.
Natalie, have you, do you know if anybody in the effort has reached out to the is it Coalition of Human Rights?
Coalition for Human Rights.
Human Rights Committees?
Yeah, they're actually meeting tomorrow morning. Massachusetts, yeah, Human Rights Committees.
Sorry, what is this? I'm gonna look it up.
It's Massachusetts Coalition for Human Rights.
Okay.
MA.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
I think it's just MAHRC.
Agency, Human Rights.
Yeah,
Coalition.
MAHRC.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look. Because there are like a lot more people, doing this work than just me. I think I'm the one that's kind of more aware of Needham just because, of my own personal interest and the fact that I live here and my kids are here. But I'll check in. I know that we, have our representative, one of the Care Coalition member is Eileen J, and she's a Lexington School Committee member. So she's been, kind of bringing the information out to the school committees in Massachusetts. So different town school committee. I think they just had a conference just last week, and where the information was presented. But I will take a look at that source that you're talking about and see if one of our
It's-
contacts has.
I just looked it up. It's
Yeah.
www.humanrightscoalition.org.
Okay.
They're
Got
also on Facebook, so.
Okay. Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
neat
that
about
makes
this,
sense.
Natalie, is that it's a really active group and they, I haven't been to a meeting in a very long time, but I'm sure one of you guys could talk about it, but lots of towns, I think probably mostly greater Boston,
Mostly.
but they're a very engaged group, so it might be a place to either send material or
Or
do a
present.
pitch, yeah.
They meet
present.
on Friday mornings once a month.
Okay. I'm probably too late on that one, but I might catch them. See if see if I can get anything in.
I don't mean tomorrow, but maybe the December meeting you could do it,
Yeah. September is so good because that's before they officially go and vote it out of the committee. So yeah, I'll reach out to them. We're sponsored by. We're supported by the BTU, the Boston Teacher Union. The president is Jessica Tang, and she's been very vocal about supporting us. And there's a broad coalition, scattered across the state, like in Lowell, in Lexington. So I'm trying to build up the Needham support because since our representative directly chair the education committee, there's a real impact for us to kind of put our little stamp of approval on the work.
Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for your work.
Great.
Thank you, Natalie.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Take care.
Have a good night, thank you. I don't know if anybody, is there any discussion you wanna have, like, is there something that you wanna have with the committee? Putting any kind of testimony out, or just,
I wasn't sure if she was asking for us as individuals, it seemed like
Yeah,
more than,
Yeah, I think it's individual.
I think it's individuals more, wasn't that?
Yeah.
Do you guys think that's what she
I
did?
did.
That's what I heard.
I didn't feel that she was
Yeah,
asking for
because
us
this
to.
town is already doing a lot.
Yeah,
It's just kind of supporting somebody who's already in the right direction.
so maybe it would be better as individuals.
Yeah. And if you know people in other towns.
yeah. Okay, let's get back to the statement then. I have one copy.
Oh.
Well, you're- Might have a tablet, bud?
What?
We don't have it, okay.
I was trying to pull it up for some reason, I got the agenda.
So you wouldn't have gotten it because it hasn't come out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Has everybody had a chance to read?
So kudos to Amelia, who really drafted the initial, and then Keith and I gave some input.
Well, it's the icing on the cake.
Right.
And by the way, after we drafted it, Marlene had the great idea of contacting the Massachusetts Coalition,
But yeah, the
Human Rights
I saw it.
Coalition.
And they have a bunch of.
And they've had Arlington especially, they really had a very lengthy and very personal. But it was interesting, the conversations that people had was, it was a very difficult statement to make.
Oh,
They all were struggling, and that's why it took so long for them to, and they just, in the last couple of weeks, their statements have been voted upon and made public.
And they want us to send ours when we decide.
The only, one comment that I would make.
But
is
before that, I want to make sure that
Sure.
that our young people are added to the list too.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Fit in,
and,
I mean,
Yes, and I didn't add them because they should be. They are part of the committee, but I looked at the last few statements where we listed all the names and only the official.
they are official members.
Only the board members were listed and not the liaison, so I wasn't sure if, yeah, Katie
Katie
would
has
be
her
the
hand
one
up,
to.
so
No,
maybe
they're official members, just like you.
Katie, what do you think?
Oh,
They're
sorry, I
not-
was raising my hand for another question, but you're asking if Finn and Emmy, they are official
Can we
members.
add them?
Yeah,
Or-
Yeah,
They're
They're full
official
members.
members. They keep people not understanding.
So we'll add,
No.
you're on.
One.
I just wanted to make a request if you could read the statement because folks online can't see what you're looking at.
All right,
Well, Bud had a
Okay,
comment first or not?
why don't,
Read it first.
you want, should I read it? You want to read
We'll let
it?
Amelia.
Why don't you read it? Or
Yeah, let
unless you
her
want me
read it.
to.
okay. Did you have major?
Well, one comment I wanted to make, and I've talked to other people who have been putting out statements. The comment that was made to me is much more powerful if you don't quote, like the United Nations quote,
Mhm.
that it's coming from us, and even though we're using that quote, but not having a quote from another individual or another organization or what, makes the statement more powerful from the organization that's making it. Just throwing it out for thought and discussion.
So why don't I read the statement and then we can go back to your comment. We are horrified by the unfolding war and devastating loss of life in Israel and Palestine and strongly support de-escalation of the recent violence in this region. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, declared, this is the quote, "It has been one full month of carnage, of incessant suffering, bloodshed, destruction, outrage, and despair. Human rights violations are at the root of this escalation, and human rights play a central role in finding a way out of this vortex of pain. Members of the Needham community who have ties to loved ones in Israel and Gaza are experiencing pain, sorrow, and grief. Many in our community are angry, frightened, and hurting as they mourn the thousands of lives lost. They feel unsafe, silenced, and not valued as members of the community. We urge civility during this period of conflict and ask members to reflect on how their actions affect those around them, such as the use of words that could be construed as anti-Semitic, Islamophobic, or racist. These responses are inconsistent with our community values. We condemn hate crimes and discrimination in our town, state, country, and world, and we fully support law enforcement's efforts to prevent and prosecute such crimes. We expect and demand that our town remains a safe place for people to live and to gather and engage in peaceful conversations to learn about each other's experiences. The charge of the Needham Human Rights Committee is to advocate appreciation and respect for human and civil rights in our town. Needham is a diverse community, one that embraces people of many races and religions. This is a moment for us to reach out to our neighbors, to pull together, and to support one another in unity and compassion. We ask community members who need support or who have suggestions for ways of supporting their neighbors during this difficult time to contact the Needham Human Rights Committee at nahrc@gmail.com. In peace and solidarity. And following are the list of all of the official members of the committee.
So the statement by the UN is the thing that you're saying people say is a powerful, I think that's a really powerful statement.
I do too.
It's a powerful statement, but it's not a statement from us. It's not our statement. And I'm thinking that, I mean, that the first sentence, we're horrified by the unfolding war and devastating loss of life in Israel and strongly support de-escalation of the recent violence in the region. I just think, I don't know, it's my opinion that using someone else's statement is not, really what we're conveying, especially in the next two paragraphs. I mean, we're saying civility in the town, respect for people, respect for, everyone who has been affected by what is transpired.
I guess what I like about the statement is that it speaks directly to human rights violations. And that, to me, speaks to who we are. So I respectfully disagree with you.
I think what I like about it too is that it gives you a picture of what's happening, in a very specific way that is, we're all being inundated with all of the images all day long and all the news coming out all day long. And so what I liked about this statement was that it pays homage to that in a pretty short phrase that's very vivid. So like we're all there. We all can conjure up all the news and the images that we've been experiencing, but it doesn't take over the statement. It's just the statement is about more than just kind of reliving the terrible things that have happened, and moves on to like a very, I think, meaningful call to action. So I really like the statement there too, because I think it grounds it in the facts of what's happening, but doesn't keep us just there. What do you guys think? Anybody have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I think I hear what Bud is saying. We're making a statement and kind of referencing another statement, but I think the idea was so that, we wanted to acknowledge with a vivid description of the past events without, kind of getting too verbose about it, but wanted to make sure that we got the point across that, we are all thinking and seeing in our heads from that statement what's been going on. So I think it's, it sums it up in a couple lines, probably certainly better than I could have, I guess.
That was, true.
I like the idea of referring to the UN human rights, because we're talking about our perspective, we're talking about the impact and to people in our community, and then that's connecting much more broadly. And we can't really make the statement for that group. I think it's important to have that group's statement,
The UN, you mean?
the UN, yeah.
I just have one comment, the email address is incorrect.
Oh, that's not our email?
No, it's needham.hrc@gmail.com.
Oh, Needham dot, ooh.
Well, that's good to know. No one would be able to reach us.
Right, I copied it wrong.
I think Ashok got that for us originally.
Right.
Long time ago. So are other people have comments or edits to it?
I think it's great, and I thank you for all the work that everyone has been doing.
The idea for reaching out to the public came from Arlington and a few others. And I thought we thought that was a good way to engage the community and dealing with the situation. And might even have an opportunity to use some of that information to share back with the public on our Facebook, on our webpage, town hall website.
There's one word I wanted to ask about. Near the end of the second paragraph, we expect and demand that our town remains a safe place. I would hope that our town will remain a safe place, but I don't know if we can
Demand.
use the word.
You think it's better to say we expect that our town?
Well, it might be nice to have a second word, but I mean, I don't feel strongly about it, it's just, that's the only thing that stood out to me.
Demand
Expect-
is strong.
The man is strong, but expect gets the point across.
But I don't want to diminish the strength, and it's a wonderful statement, so. Or even to take much time on it.
Another word?
Another word, or should we just
Or just say.
get rid of
it out?
demand?
We expect,
just
I think
take
is.
out
Yeah, let's just say we expect, yeah, get rid of and demand.
I'm looking at Belinda up there as part of the demand part of things happening in town.
Little strong.
Okay.
Demand and encourage. It's more positive light.
We expect and encourage.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that.
Encourage our,
I think we can just do it, we expect.
I expect.
I don't know. I think it says it, just by we expect,
Yeah, okay,
for me, but
like, we expect that our town will remain a safe place.
yeah.
Will remain.
I think so, right?
Will remain as opposed to remains.
mhm.
Yeah.
Send a copy to the police department.
I guess the other question is there an extra and there? Should it say, we expect that our town will remain a safe place for people to live, comma, to gather and engage rather
Yeah.
than and to gather?
Yeah,
Just gather and engage in peaceful.
Together, comma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, to live, comma, to gather and engage.
Okay.
Get rid of that extra
Yeah,
and.
straight in.
I mean, that's the thing, you could look at this 100 times and.
yeah, I
nitpick
never,
it.
I never noticed it. I think it's a beautiful statement.
So can we take a vote?
We definitely can take a vote, and I'm not sure what happens after we, like, are we just putting this out on Facebook, on the website?
Well, I think, yeah, Facebook, town hall website.
I think,
What if we give it to the Needham Observer?
I was gonna say,
I-
yeah,
I
And
think-
also the news, you need them.
I think we need to give it to, looking up there at Katie, we need to give it to the select board.
Yeah.
I was talking with one of the select board members, I said, I imagine you're getting a lot of comments or thoughts about this, they said, yes, I said, well. And they would know from looking at the minutes that the Human Rights Committee is working on a statement, they said, people want to see that, so that would
Right,
be
but I
the
don't think
first.
we have to give it to them before we.
No, you said, what are we gonna do with this? I
Can
said,
we,
number
can we
one,
vote
get it,
before we decide where it goes?
yeah, number,
so I move that we adopt the statement.
The
As
revised.
revised statement.
A second.
Okay, Amelia,
Yes.
Marlene.
Yes.
Cynthia.
yes,
Keith,
Yes.
Bud,
Yes,
Carrie.
Yeah.
Emmy,
Yes.
Finn,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. So Casso's that, great.
So yes, so definitely the select board should go.
Then could I just interrupt for a second? I just wanted, Dave Sherman has his hand raised, but Dave, I just wanted to relay what the chair had said earlier, that the time for public comments over. So I just want to acknowledge that I see your hand, but I'm not going to bring you over at this point. Thanks.
Thanks, Katie. Okay, so
So who's gonna do the distributing of this?
I don't know, I was thinking that maybe I could touch base with Katie after the meeting to figure out how they need,
her thumb went up,
how they need to.
Yeah. Thanks.
no, that means she's a.
She's in agreement.
I'll just add our logo to it. I usually do that.
And our what? Our
Our
logo?
logo to it.
Yeah. And we added on Emmy and Finn.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
just as a note, I also just signed up for the Needham Human Rights Committee at gmail.com to make it easier to give us another email address and put in the mix.
oh,
Wait, say that again?
No, I was just saying I wanted to, I grabbed Needham Human Rights Committee at gmail.com just so we would have it. So I'll put that in the mix too. Sometimes I know the periods make people a little confused with the needham.hrc@gmail, even though I think Google even, I think it ignores periods, as strange as that sounds.
Okay.
Mm,
All right, I'm gonna leave that tech piece up to you guys.
So we actually will spell out Needham, not N.
Correct. The current email address is needham.hrc@gmail.com.
Great.
All right, which is what we have on our.
brochure.
Where we got this from.
All the work we were doing.
Yes, okay, great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you for
Thank
the
you
three of you
picking
working
that up.
on it.
Keith, thank you, especially right out of the gate. We really appreciate it.
Oh, Thank you for including me. It was, you know, I just chirped in a little bit, but it was under good supervision, so thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else on that, we can move on to the Diversity Summit recap. Does anybody have information they want to share?
Well, I was there, Bud was there,
No.
and Tina was there. And Cynthia came.
I mean, there was a little bit of recap the other night on the call. When we had the discussion the other night, there was
Oh, when we had the discussion.
a discussion on the
state.
same,
Oh,
yeah.
right, right.
Yeah, there was
okay,
a little
Yeah.
bit.
Okay,
But that, what I'm saying is it'd be great to kind of, for those that weren't on the call, to kind of summarize what you said.
okay, the focus was on, belonging and bridging, which is a concept that, Nicole Argo, is an expert at, and she has written, and has done extensive research. She did a wonderful presentation that really oriented, the audience. In fact, we're using that same theme for the Martin Luther King Day. I mean, it was so powerful. It was well received by the audience, and it really set the tone for what we did all day. Before the opening introduction, however, Nicole, Kim Marie Nichols found a band that was sort of a jazz, they're called Jazz Girls. They were fantastic, and they were LGBTQ group. They were presented, but it was a mix of jazz and blues and several other forms of music. I think there were 4 or 5 of them. Are you in?
And the harpist.
And a
which was kinda
harpist,
cool.
there was a harpist, there were
Wow.
just all kinds of instruments, and they just did a wonderful job of playing, introducing, and that was sort of a way of getting people into the room, but then also their director explained how this group of people came together
Right,
and
where-
how
where
meaningful.
women over the years were not involved in jazz groups, and how it's been her mission to make it.
It's the same group that was at the library.
Well, they might be at the Martin Luther King Day also, we're thinking
Because there
about.
was a group at the library of all,
They're called Jazz Girls.
Jazz hers,
Jazz Hers.
HERS.
yeah, I know. I went to a jazz thing, it was all females.
Was it recorded at all?
It
Was
was.
the panel recorded?
The beginning was recorded, but not the breakout sessions and not the panel presentation.
Because
Because
they-
people were encouraged to speak freely. The panel was excellent. We had a range of representation. There was, let me see, Anna Giraldo Care spoke about her experiences as an immigrant. So we had that perspective. We had someone from the Needham Housing Authority who actually lives there, has lived there for over 10 years and raised her family there, and talked about her experiences. And they talked about how they felt or did not feel a sense of belonging in Needham. Most of them had very positive things to say, but they also shared other.
It wasn't
points of
Dennis
view.
Sang part of it?
Dennis Sang, there were 4, I think there were 5 panelists,
5.
and I can't remember now who else.
And the survey that was presented in the percentages was very interesting, instead of how people felt welcome or did not feel welcome in the town.
Yeah.
From Nicole. Sherry.
What was the survey? Was it the one the town did?
It's one, well,
Well,
I presume
the
Nicole
resilience
talked about it.
The resilience, Nicole Argo is a director,
Mhm.
along with Beth Pinos of the Needham Resilience Network. And they have done a lot of research and a lot of publication about this.
So the
topic.
survey you were talking about,
And they
did it
did
come
a-
from the Resilience Network or did?
No,
did the
it
town
came
do
from
one?
the town.
Okay,
It came
sorry.
from the town, and I think they did some.
There were two surveys. There was a town one and there was the one that Resilience Network did. And I think she was, well, I just remember, because she presented to the Needham Resilience Network what she was gonna be presenting at the town.
Neat.
Coming in at the end, it looked like the program was very integrated. Because sometimes there's like a smorgasbord and lots of good things going on. It felt like in talk, and everybody I met, I asked them to my own personal survey. And people felt really good about the experience that the breakout groups followed what was going on with the presentation. Instead of everybody having lots of different experiences.
The breakout session, I thought there were about 80 people.
That's what someone estimated, yeah. Okay. And we don't know why. That's the lowest number we've ever had, even at the beginning.
It was a
We
nice
had
day.
mentioned,
It was a nice day. which
well, we mentioned
sometimes-
the mask mandate as being maybe that an issue, but we did have that last year and that was
Yeah, I
not,
don't think that would have kept.
yeah.
Last year, people didn't know ahead of time. Everyone showed up and was like, what do you mean you have to wear a mask?
Yeah, they did mention, but at the last minute, they didn't in the initial.
Right.
Publications, so, or,
Yeah, and it's different this year. No, as you said, nobody
Nobody else
is
is mandated.
requiring them, so it's more of a disconnect.
but we don't know, and we're still waiting for evaluations to come in, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think that as things have opened up more, there's more going on. So that there's more competition for people's free time for doing things. So I talk to a lot of people say, oh, I'd love to do it, but I have this, and this. Which is, then it's across the board. It's not necessarily to did anything, or could have done anything differently.
And it's a 4-hour event, although it used to be 5 hours when David was in charge, and we've narrowed it down, but even 4 maybe might be just too long a period of time. Although the breakout sessions, the people that stayed, everyone had the same impression. And Tina was one of the facilitators in one of the sessions, and she had the same impression that people were very much involved, a lot of newcomers, very eager to connect with NDI. So I think there was some very good positive. And then after, we had people could take their masks off and go outside, and we have refreshments. We kept them outside. It was a little breezy, but it was a wonderful way for people to connect. And that was sort of the icing on the cake. That was really a nice way to end the day.
Okay. That's great. How many years has NDI done it?
We figured it out last night or whatever. Because the MLK Day one restarted after a year of not meeting when Joanne Allen Rowley came. And then it was like 2 years later that NDI started.
2013?
Well, it
So
should
10
say
years?
what was the year of they usually say the 12th annual or whatever there's a name.
Oh, yeah, right. The 12th. This was the
Yeah, so 12 years.
12 years.
That's amazing. Okay, is there any, I'm sorry, I didn't look up here. Does anybody that's on Zoom want to pipe in anything about the summit?
If you have any suggestions or comments about ways we could change it and improve it, add to it.
Okay. Let's move on. I think that both of the working groups, don't have anything to report, this month, so we will bump that to December. And the next thing on here is the Needham Branding and Town Seal Committee. Cynthia, it sounds like, it looks like you have something to report out.
Get my things in order here. In case there is. Okay. The main thing to report is that it got started with the first meeting was on, I think, November 8th, and there's a full complement of people there. The town manager, Kate Fitzpatrick, is the person under whom it's happening, and Kevin Keane, Vice Chair of Select Board, is the chair of the group, and there are people from, well, I'm the representative from the Human Rights Committee. We have Gloria Price who's the executive director of the New History Center and Museum. There's a member of the Historic Commission, the Council on Arts and Culture, someone who has experience with visual communication, and I'm really pleased to say that we have a member of the Massachusetts Native Praying Indians who's part of the group. And they're, at this point, we'll be meeting once a month. I think this, with the charge and the purpose and all, had been sent out to the group before, so I won't go over that, but it feels to me like they've got a good sense of how to move forward as a group, and looking at things that are important to the town and important to being accurate about history and listening to different points of view. So that's it.
Does anybody have any questions?
Is there a target for when the work is to be done?
Well, somebody was saying the spring, and somebody else said, no, it will be longer, and they will be looking over it. And Katie, they will eventually be reporting to the town meeting, and there'll be times for the public to make comments. All that's to be worked out. No, Katie lives and breathes this stuff, whether she has more to add that we should know about.
I don't. You're the expert on this committee right now, so.
But I was very pleased with the variety of points of view, and the idea of having, looking for ways that are accurate and inclusive. And people did mention some other towns that seem to have developed a different approach.
It sounds like a really good cross section. That's great.
We should do a mosaic.
Who knows? Oh, and then, so in addition to looking at the town seal, there's the idea of having some kind of, they call it branding or logo, so that when you take your trash bag out, you don't have to be looking at the town seal necessarily, that will be, every town or municipality is required by the state to have an official town seal, so that they will have that. Oh, an important member of the group is, our town clerk, Teddy Eaton, who's the one who's there with the town seal all the time, making those birth certificates and it's official. So
Thank you.
I'm very glad to be able to represent this group.
You're the perfect person.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Well, Cynthia, if you want to stay on the roll, it looks like you're next on the agenda as well to talk about the Needham Interfaith Trans Day of Remembrance.
Yes. And by mistake, I printed out 2 copies of this, so I think I sent it out to people that November 20th is established from years ago as the date, and it changes whatever day of the week, and it happens to be next Monday. So this year, the vigil is going to be on Zoom, but it's live on Zoom. I think that means those of us who are participating in it are live somewhere, probably the First Parish Church. So as in the past, they're participating members and congregations of the Needham Interfaith Clergy Association. In other words, it's not everybody, it's the ones who feel that this is what they're called to be part of. And it's the 7th annual Needham Trans Day of Remembrance Vigil, where we will solemnly remember trans and gender non-conforming people who were killed in hate crimes or died by suicide in the past year, and rededicate ourselves to the work of LGBTQ+ rights. So then there's a choice of images to put on social media and a link for people to be part of it. So the ask is, I think we agreed a few years ago that we would continue the Human Rights Committee to sponsor events that we've been part of before, but that it's important to reconnect with people around that and to, ask this group as one of the sponsors to help get the word out.
So Cynthia, I'm not sure, I got confused when you said that, is there a live portion of it, like they want people to come to the church or they want
It's just,
everybody on Zoom?
it's Zoom, yeah. I think it's just the people who are doing it.
Okay, gotcha.
And,
Gotcha.
Carrie, you got it, I think. I sent it out. Okay, if anybody wants a print copy.
But we are a sponsor, right?
Yeah.
I think
We don't have to
that
vote on it.
last-
We
Yeah, so
permanently.
it's kind of you could say
Like
reconfirm.
MLK and this.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think last year it was all recorded.
No, it was outdoors.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
It might have been recorded when we did it just online.
One of them was recorded.
I think we
So was that the one that was outdoors? It was freezing last year?
Yes,
It was in front of.
In front of the parish and it was freezing.
Outdoors, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and somebody came and gave a scarf to somebody else.
Yeah, okay, I was there for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you were there with some people I knew, yeah.
okay.
But I'm very glad that we have that. And we had hoped to do the, Visibility Day in March, but there wasn't anybody to lead it, the LGBTQ plus Day of Visibility. I think Marlene, you were one of the people who said, well, we're gonna do something about that. So hopefully that will happen sometime.
Sounds good. All right, moving down the agenda, the next thing is to talk about the select board hearing on, whether to, or to look at what to do about Columbus Day versus, Indigenous Peoples' Day and Indigenous Peoples' Day. Katie, I know you wanted us to just be aware of it. Is there something that you want to say about it?
I guess just for context that the select board had it on its goals to hold a public hearing and really get a sense from as many people in the community as possible how they feel about this issue. And so the materials I shared with you were just foundational research that staff provided to the board, but I would encourage all of you, if the Human Rights Committee wants to take a position on this matter and send somebody to testify on behalf of the committee, I think the select board would appreciate the input.
What is the date of here?
November 28th,
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday night. Did did your email say that it was gonna be on at 6:15? Did I?
6:05.
6:05. Okay, I know the take the time.
So the meeting itself starts at 6, but we don't have a time set just yet for this particular hearing.
Oh, I read it wrong.
I read it.
So a long time ago, there was the Indigenous Peoples' Day Committee, which was supporting two students,
Right.
Fernanda Pinto and Nick Turpin, who provided leadership to bring to the school committee a proposal to have Indigenous Peoples' Day rather than Columbus Day, which was approved by the school committee. And prior to that, they had gone to the select board. And then Julie Wright got involved with supporting them, and a group of us, Amelia was part of that, and Marcus Nelson, back when he was a member of the Human Rights Committee. So there were 3 of us from this group and some people from NDI and other interested people. So we kind of accompanied them in the process. And then for various reasons, like it's hard to find people to be leaders, that didn't continue. But I think the sentiment of people of wanting to replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples' Day was strongly there. And the people from the Human Rights Committee have been part of that. Do I remember right, Amelia?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, this is, the open meeting will be on November 28th. That's for our next meeting. I wonder if we want to discuss now the potential courses of action, which you sent to us. Katie, thank you. This document was very informative. I didn't know any of this.
Yes,
This is
I'm not on the
excellent.
screen, so I just like it.
But it, apparently the planners are considering 3 courses of action. Status quo, continue to observe Columbus Day. Substitution, replace official, let's see. I didn't, well, this goes in a lot of detail.
It's either status quo or recognize both or switch it to indigenous peoples. Those are the three.
Yeah, but there's also possibilities of recognizing Italian heritage in different ways. Is that in there? I didn't think.
Yeah, one of it, I think, let me see, the combination in Melrose, they recognize both Columbus and Indigenous Peoples' Day. In Salem, they recognize Indigenous Peoples' Day and celebrate American Heritage Month.
That's actually incorrect about Melrose. They didn't drop Columbus Day because they said it was a state holiday, but all their material was to observe Indigenous Peoples' Day. So there are a lot of nuances of how towns do it, but Wellesley is one that.
But to your point, I do think we should come up with a plan because it will happen before our next meeting. I personally would love to make a statement saying I support it to be switched to Indigenous Peoples' Day. I don't know how everyone else feels, but.
I agree with you. When I saw have both Indigenous and Columbus Day, it made no sense. It doesn't. The whole idea,
It dilutes.
yes, the whole idea is that it's not Columbus who we are honoring, it's the
Right,
Indigenous.
I feel like it's a slap in the face to do that.
Yeah,
So
I would agree with you.
And I attended, or maybe it was on Zoom, the Zoom meeting, the school, when the two students
Yes.
presented their argument to the select board, to the school committee. I thought they made an excellent case for why we would not recognize Columbus Day, Christopher Columbus, and all the myths and all, and I think they also addressed the idea of Italian Americans being offended by, and there are groups of Italian Americans that do not want to celebrate Columbus Day for the same reasons that we want to celebrate Indigenous people, change it to Indigenous Peoples' Day. But anyway, I agree with Carrie. I think it should be. I don't know how it's going to be received by the community. I have no idea what the sense of the community is. The school committee certainly was very receptive to the students, but that change was made in the context of the schools. The school calendar, it was changed to Indigenous Peoples' Day, not the town of Needham. So now we're asking that the town change.
Yeah, so if we can get a consensus here, and then if Carrie, if you would go speak to it, that would be great. So, I mean, I agree with you, I would give you my vote of confidence, for going to speak to it.
I think we should send something even prior to that, correct? Is that what you were saying, Katie?
You don't have to. I think it would be great though if there is consensus to have a member go and testify that night. If
Okay,
you want to send something in advance, you're welcome to, but you don't have to.
okay.
So can I make a motion and then we can have a discussion and see if people agree? So I move that, on behalf of the Human Rights Committee, that Carrie make a statement at the select board meeting, saying that we, what's the word? Support the change, in the town to call, whatever that day is. That holiday, Indigenous Peoples' Day.
To change from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, Amelia?
Well, don't we want to see if there's any other discussion?
Discussion, yeah.
Sure.
Anybody out there?
Since we're supposed to represent the entire town, and I don't know a lot of Italian people in town, does anyone have a sense how other citizens in the town might feel?
I think when the students first went to the select board, and it was an open meeting, that one of the select board members was represented the Italian American perspective and felt that people would be offended, Italian Americans would be offended by eliminating, by changing the name. That it's part of history. something that students have learned about in school. It's sort of a tradition. It's honoring someone.
At the school committee meeting where the students presented before that, they had public comments, and Reverend Katie Scudera, who's has an Italian American background,
That's right.
spoke about how she appreciates and likes to celebrate that background, but not by honoring somebody like Christopher Columbus, and that she hoped that her daughter, who's a baby when she went to school, would not be learning that.
Yeah, I think I'm my father hails from Sicily originally, so my last name is actually Laface if you're feeling Italian. So I understand the concern that that some Italian Americans have in switching from Columbus Day to Indigenous People Day. I mean, I personally believe that it's important to recognize what history actually was. And so I'm supportive of switching it to Indigenous Peoples Day, but I do understand the concern. I mean, it is a popular day for Italians to think about their Italian heritage, even more so, I think, than actual Columbus, which I think is exactly the point that we're talking about, that we can kind of still celebrate in a way that's appropriate for our backgrounds, while still recognizing what actually happened in history and not celebrating a person specifically. So, but I
Thought it was
I-
important to ask.
No, I
Because-
think, I think that was a good question, and it was a great answer.
I mean, I expect that, we'll have some lively input from the public, I would imagine, but I think that, especially in Needham, we've made a concerted effort, especially with the previous discussion about the bill, to make sure that we're talking about history in the right light, and recognizing all the aspects of it. I think it's important to be factually correct, and so I think the schools already do a good job of that. So I think this seems to be in line with what the town, the vision of the town, especially of this Human Rights Committee.
So another thing that's happening, because that Amber Autumn Son Orlando is part of the town seal committee, that people were saying, oh, we could invite an Indigenous person to speak at the hearing, so probably one of them will be coming. It's gonna be hybrid, by the way, so people can.
I think I think the public is in general misinformed, they're uninformed. And there's a lot out there that I think would get them to think differently. I remember finding a video to support the students, Italian Americans presenting their point of view. And it was an interesting video, and it was, I don't know, I think they presented it to the school committee when they were making their case. But there is a lot out there that I think would inform the public about how different points of view, and would convince them that this is it's not appropriate to continue celebrating.
Do we want to do something, like, I don't know, link to that video on the Facebook page or something like that to encourage people to watch and come to the hearing?
So do we have a vote here?
I thought we were still discussing.
Oh, I thought that was after.
think it was
you said
all your
that people
question.
would come, because I thought you meant that we had made a decision.
No, we had the,
I'm sorry. I am definitely tired.
We had the
Do
motion
we
and
need to
the-
vote
yeah.
before we talk about?
no, that's fine.
Well,
Before you
yeah,
vote.
I've seen that video. No.
Okay,
Why don't we vote and then talk about implementation?
surely, let's do it. Let's do
Can I
it.
get you some coffee?
This is my second cup since 6 o'clock, so I'm probably not gonna sleep tonight. Okay, so what we are voting on is, getting consensus about having Carrie make a statement to the select board at the hearing on November 28th, in support of Needham changing the name of the holiday from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. All right, Amelia,
Yes.
Marlene,
Yes.
Cynthia.
Yes,
I thought I heard something up there. Keith,
Yes.
Bud,
Yes.
Carrie, Emmy,
Yes.
Finn,
Yes.
and I am also a yes.
Okay, that passes.
okay.
I just wasn't.
And I have been trying to reach Fernanda to see if by any chance she might be able to say something. Fernanda Pinto, who's now in college.
Rebecca Drill,
was that you?
that's a neighbor.
So it's,
It's University of Virginia.
This is the UVA in Charlotte.
do you know how to-
Oh, she's in Charlotte.
Do you know how to reach her?
could try reaching out there.
Yeah, but we just have her old email from high school.
Oh, yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
That's.
Oh, that would be terrific.
she could be home on break or
She might,
something.
yeah, she might.
Or just tune in for for 15 minutes, and that would be terrific. to
So-
have-
Is there information from them that Carrie might be helpful to Carrie?
I can look up the statement that they made to the school committee.
That'd be great.
Let me write that down.
I suggest that we send things to Carrie. I will look, try and find that video and you decide if it's appropriate. And some of the other information that I shared with us still so long ago, but I should.
It was a really good statement. I just don't have my thing with me.
Thanks, Carrie, for
Yeah.
stepping up.
Okay, so is there any more discussion or ideas or anything that anybody wants to put out about the November 28th hearing? Okay. All right, so. Yeah, we have one more piece of business before the really important, I'm trying to figure out who's gonna be the minute taker for the next couple of meetings. Cynthia and Amelia, can you tell us about MLK Day?
Yeah, I had to leave the meeting early.
Well, very quick, we just started, we had a meeting last night, but we pretty much put it together. We're going to extend the theme of bridging and belonging. We have a wonderful poster of Dr. Martin Luther King with, building bridges, not walls as a theme, underlying theme. We are thinking of having, if she agrees, the president of Owen College come and be a speaker. We were thinking of having her for the diversity summit and something happened. I don't think she was available, so we asked her if she would consider, but we haven't heard from her. We are focusing on getting as many young people in the program as possible. And today I sent a letter to Carmen Williams, who's the assistant superintendent of curriculum and innovation. And I asked her if she could assist us in finding students and staff members that would work with children at all levels to present their ideas or their knowledge of what belonging or bridging means. So maybe beginning from kindergarten up to high school. And that could be in the form of a narrative, or it could be art, it could be a musical production. We have, I think, 3 or 4 musical groups that will be, if they all agree, will be available, and the Jazz Hers might be one of them. That's about as far as we got yesterday.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, this is all last night.
That's a
We had a
lot.
good group of people that didn't talk much.
Mary, let me give you a name. I don't know if anyone knows the name Colette Phillips. Colette Phillips. Look her up. She's done a lot in building bridges, with various communities in Boston, and, she was born in, Antigua. And, really bright woman, was trustee of, Mass General. She was actually on the American Jewish Committee Board. She's done a lot of things in the community, and, and might be someone.
Any other suggestions or early stages?
But I have heard the president of Olin and she's quite good.
Colette Phillips.
And another thing is we found that sometimes we look into something and it's not ready yet for a particular event, but it becomes just the right thing for the next one. So by going to Carmen Williams, you may tap into things that she's already thinking about, or open something up, and that might be the right thing for Liz Amity Day, for instance. Because you can only do so much this time of year with schools, because you have the Thanksgiving break and then the winter break. So,
Oh, I know what we have to do. We
Oh.
traditionally provide the refreshments.
Do we wanna do
Human Rights
the-
Committee has taken on this role.
Cynthia took on.
I'll pick some up.
no, lots of people working.
So we need to decide that tonight so we can let them know what our contribution, because we are co-sponsoring, we have been.
So did the town pay? I can't remember
Here,
how
We got donations.
No, here's the way, pre-pandemic, we started way ahead and contacted various places to get them to donate. Last year was our first time back in person, and they decided on the food thing so late that there's not enough time to do that, so NDI paid for it. Now NDI got things for the summit that weren't used. Don't you have a couple bags of food, for instance?
I don't know what happened to the food.
Yeah.
I know we have water.
We
A lot
don't
of water.
need water because
Yeah,
there are
right.
water fountains there. What we need is coffee, some snacks. for
I
the
think they
kids.
had juice for the
I
children.
know, I know exactly what we have.
Well, they were concerned in the, with COVID, they were concerned that everything be packaged and everything, but in the past, like Roach Brothers has given, trays of Danish, Starbucks has given coffee.
Yeah,
For
I
the
know,
diversity summit, we had everything packaged, it was prepackaged,
and that
cookies
was,
or
it
something
was
in
outdoors too.
outdoor
So I know from the Board of Health
Board of Health.
that, there was a period of time in one things packaged. More recent change was if it's from a food establishment in Needham, that therefore it gets inspected by them, it's all right to serve like a tray of actual cookies, as long as you don't touch them, you use gloves and you have tongs, and hopefully people use those for serving, so.
Yeah, right. Good luck.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you what's allowed. I'm telling you what's allowed. What we did for the kids is we had juice boxes, and I know how many we have. We need to get more. And we had the Trader Joe's breakfast bars, which is actually some nutrition, not just sugar. And if we have a lot of kids and they come early to rehearse, so forth, it's very easy, instead of the days we used to pour juice.
Mm.
And then we get coffee and the stuff that goes with it. And last year, Renaz bought things at Costco that were prepackaged, but we're a year later and can get it differently. We have to find out what places they already got things from. We can't go back and ask Roach Brothers. Again, they'll only contribute so many times, but
Roach Brothers is, I've never, in all the years I've gone to Roach Brothers, even when I lived in Wellesley and stuff, they've never said no to anything.
They're very supportive of the
They are
community.
extremely.
at
supportive.
any rate, the way in which this works is you have to have several people. And I know Bud has done this various times, and Tina and everybody here, who will commit to that day and a few weeks before doing some things. And Marlene, when we had to reschedule it, and you took all the stuff to Temple Vet Shalom and put it in the refrigerator. And I mean, people have done.
Fit my refrigerator.
So the upside of doing this, and I don't know, Keith, if you've been to MLK Day programs, is we get to hang out in the front and welcome people, and that's really fun. And really a nice thing.
And promote what we do, and have brochures and stuff.
Well,
So are we going back to seeking donations? Is that what you're saying?
well, I think it's better not to use money for that if we can get places to donate. And if we decide now, it's a better way to do it than,
Do you remember how many things you ordered, like juice boxes or
Yeah.
breakfast bars?
I've got it somewhere.
And the coffee, I forget where we picked up the coffee, that was Starbucks.
Yeah, we moved. What happened is several years ago, Starbucks is no longer able to do it. So we switched to buying, and than buying a Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, right.
And, bless her heart, Tina did that. She picked them up that day to get the box of Joe and, the kids will ask for hot chocolate, but it's too big a mess. Say, sorry, do it at home. I just get, coffee and decaf and
Did you have juice last year?
we had juice boxes and I will know how many.
Did we
need to
ever
get now.
ask, I know, I remember picking up stuff from Cafe Bagel,
Fresh bagel.
Fresh Bagel, but in Dedham, not in the Needham store. I remember having to go to
So,
Dedham to pick it up. And have we ever tried Bagels Best?
we did, we tried all the bagel places, but we decided not to do bagels because they're very labor intensive in terms of people.
And
Oh.
reaching
Reaching
cream
into
cheese
things,
and all
But
that.
they do coffee also at Bagels Best. I wonder. if they
The
would-
bagel
yeah.
places said we don't have enough. We would love to support it, but we really can't. We're not in a position to donate.
Okay.
That was what was happening in the small places. Trader Joe's. I'm on a first name basis with the guy who's the customer service.
Yeah,
Hi there, how you doing, Alfredo?
What do you need? They were wonderful. When I picked them up, they were just, oh, do you need some more boxes? I mean, they couldn't have been nicer.
So that was a
Yeah.
long time ago that I must have gone to pick up the bagels.
Yeah, we used to have bagels, I love them.
And hey,
Cafe Fresh used to donate,
They
like when I
did?
was on the PTC, they would donate a lot to different events and things.
yeah, but we decided not to do, she said that we decided not.
Yeah, but they,
But I remember picking up stuff from Hazel's.
yeah,
I mean, I.
and then there were a number of years at Hazel's,
Isn't
got closed
isn't
and-
Panera actually in Needham?
Yeah.
but the smaller businesses are, it's a lot harder for them to
They're
support
small.
things.
The bigger ones, you have to go corporate to request.
Yeah, and
That's
I,
all
Like a Panera.
yeah, and I've got the templates of the letters that said what it was all about and what was good for them about being part of it and, how
And
they.
the tax form and all that kind of stuff that they.
Yeah, and I think if I remember, Katie, do they prefer we use the NDI one rather than the town one for the tax exempt for donations from the businesses?
Yes.
Yes, if it's a
Yes.
donation, it should
Yeah.
flow through NDI.
Yeah, okay,
That's what we-
because we can get that. But I need people to, I think we know how to do it, and if people, for instance, Hazel's, there are times that they had problems and they were closed, and they're all very wanting to help, but they're not always in the position. But the point is, we need enough people to volunteer to do this so that the work is spread out. And
I
it
think-
doesn't make sense to say we're gonna do it unless we have,
I
a
think
team
we
of
should
people.
keep it as simple as possible. And do Trader Joe's and some coffee and not go crazy with a whole bunch of other stuff.
yeah, it is a lot harder when it gets icy and all to pick up a beautiful tray of cookies from Hazel's. So maybe you do the Trader Joe's kind of thing. And there were bags of those things. I don't know what they were. They were a little odd from the food at the summit. Remember those things?
Like Halloween can.
Well, someone put their bag of Halloween candy in with everything I set up. I could have killed them.
Well, there were bags under the
Because then
table.
people were grabbing it exactly what we didn't want them to do.
Yeah, so I guess if we're gonna do this, we should
I think
find
the
out,
bars, breakfast bars would be
Yeah.
perfect. Everyone loved them at the diversity
but-
summit.
but who
So are you
will come?
are you willing to coordinate it? And then the others of us will volunteer to help? Is that? Or are
If
you?
if we get it arranged ahead of time, it's possible. It's just when there are very few people like bless his heart, David Summergrad, who could have 4 hours of sleep and coordinate everything at the last minute. Can't do that. So if there are enough people here to spread it out, I think I saw Keith with a hand up,
Yeah,
Yep, I'm happy to help.
and I don't know.
I'm happy to help too, Cynthia.
Okay,
If I'm here, I will. I'm not sure if I'll be here.
okay.
I should be here. I'd be happy to help.
Yes, we know all these people who've been vetted, but Keith and Gregory, if you join the
I'm
committee,
happy to help.
okay.
I'm
Are
definitely
you
happy.
here to see if you want to be on the committee?
I think I have a meeting with Katie and the seventh.
So you're.
Or so.
Yeah, you're applying, that's why you're here.
Oh, yeah, I'm applying. and
You want to see what,
I wrote an
What we're
maybe a
like.
week ago or.
Oh,
or
okay,
10 days
great.
ago or so.
I can vouch for his family.
That's funny, Greg. I was wondering what you would do. I'm like, is he gonna bring up business at the end of the meeting or something? Oh, that's what you're here for.
Say anything?
Oh,
or-
that's great. Well, it's good to see you
Yeah.
here.
Well, I don't,
How did they
wait
say
a
something,
minute,
right?
to recruit people. And our, Finn and Emmy, maybe, I don't know, this may be a busy time for you, or whether you
I'm
can
on
do
the
that.
weekend.
Yeah,
Well, it depends, because I don't think usually is back and forth between May and, I don't know if I'll be here, but if I'm around, I will.
okay, so,
I can also talk. I work at Hazel's, so I can like try and talk to them. I don't really know. They're like
wow,
January's their like dead season because like right now we're in like the busiest season with Thanksgiving and Christmas. So after that, like in the new year, I can try and talk to them and see if they'll be able to do anything. So if you just send me an email, I can bring it up to them.
Yeah, sure. So MLK Day is the 15th.
15.
Yeah, so that should be enough time. If you just email me the details, I can talk to them about it and see what I can get them to
and
do.
the police department knows how to do food for their open house was spectacular. I don't know if other people got to it then.
And it's from 10 to 12.
Great.
Oh, 10 to 12, okay, and we used to say on the posters, 9:30 for refreshments, try to get people
did
to.
it? I thought it was to set up. Oh, that could be.
No, we used to set up.
We set up earlier, but we put on the poster that the doors opened at 9:30, so we're trying to get people there so that at 10 o'clock when the program starts, they're not just dribbling in.
People have to know the right doors to go into.
So are the people that just volunteering to just like do the pickup and bring it to the event? On the 15th, or are people volunteering to actually reach out and get the donations? Just so.
I'd be happy to do any of those.
Yeah, okay,
Whatever you like. Yeah.
so Bud just pick up and you could reach out
I can reach out to them.
and Finn can reach out.
Yeah.
But we first will get together what we need to have.
What do you need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do either.
And let Greg know
I'm not
the
gonna
context
have
that we,
coffee.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
well, what
sorry.
we do, Yeah. Then,
How about Gregory?
So
Can you
Katie, would it be
coffee?
okay for
Heavy
what's
coffee?
Cynthia's
Pick
come
up
up with
boxes of coffee?
yeah,
what's
definitely.
needed
No, I
to
have
send
a
an
big
email out to everybody?
Okay.
Can we have that conversation over
Yeah.
email?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. Open meeting.
What's that?
No,
Discuss cookies.
No,
Yeah.
it's policy that needs to be open meeting. Implementation, you can do outside, or else nothing would ever get done. Is that correct? Katie?
I wish it was that simple, but if it's logistics, just straight logistics, you're fine.
Okay, we have, speaking of logistics, we've got exactly 2 minutes for people to volunteer. We've got three more
Oh, no,
months where we need recorders.
and I've already volunteered for January, so
I've
I'm
got
not.
June.
Yes.
And
Amelia,
I'm sorry, I'll volunteer for at least one, though I'm gonna have to look at someone's notes. So I did this a couple times for CNS, and I practically wrote down everything that happened in the meeting, which evidently is not usually the way that it's done. So with a little coaching, I'm happy to do at least one or two. Let me just look at the dates here, if you don't mind, bear with me.
There's December, February, and May that are open. And actually
And
probably
April,
April too.
And we don't know the date yet.
I don't know if any,
One of the dates hasn't been set, but I think it was
That's April, I
April
think.
date.
Yeah.
The others are set. At least I have.
I'd be happy to do one.
but if you have.
Oh,
Word
right.
docs,
I think
Maybe that's December. Month that I'd be part of it, but after that.
How about, how
But I'm
about
like,
May?
like Keith, I'd need to see a little bit of guidance. Yeah, because I would do it, I would just type everything.
It seemed like it'd be obvious on what to do, but it really wasn't to me. So yeah, we can't cheat off of each other's notes,
So
Greg,
you
that's for
need
sure.
somebody who's more experienced for December, don't you? And Amelia's doing the annual report. But it was a trade.
Wait, so
and
who's
that's
doing
what-
December? You want to do the report? Why don't you get stuck with that again? So, yeah.
And
I
Jen
did one
just did the
there.
minutes, so.
I did,
And I did a month before, so. Like,
Yeah, I can definitely do, I mean, February and May.
all right, why don't, I can do December and then Keith, if you wanna do February, and then Greg, you could do May,
We have to.
and then we're gonna have to figure out April. We'll have a competition.
But
Is
it's
that who
not
takes
gonna-
worse notes?
Okay. Unless anybody wants to volunteer for April at the moment.
Without the date, it's kind of hard to,
When are we,
for me, to make a decision.
well, let's wait till Tina's back to choose the
Yeah,
date.
yeah. Okay. So it says anything else, can I make one really quick announcement?
Yeah.
It's 9:00. I just wanted to tell you, just to let you know, not necessarily that you'll be involved, but, at my neighbor's table is sort of coming back a bit. And on March 3rd, we are joining with the anti-Semitism group at Temple Beth Shalom, and we're doing a program on anti-Semitism. And we are really hoping to have people who have not, what I call the choir, people who haven't come to things.
Mm.
So we really are gonna want people to bring their neighbors who haven't been to any of these kinds of programs. So we're in the planning process, 2 small groups from each. And it will be the same format as the At My Neighbor's Table, and it'll be held at the temple, but, so we've been meeting, I think we've had 3 meetings, to try to figure out what we're gonna do. And everyone is so clear that we want a very short presentation and mostly just conversations at the
Good,
table.
good.
So, I just thought I would tell you.
What was the date?
It's gonna be March 3rd, and,
Is that a Sunday?
it's a Sunday, yeah, from 5 to 7. So we really wanna limit it to only 30 Jews and everyone else not Jewish. Because that,
What's your criteria?
other people need to know more about anti-Semitism. So it's, so they came to us. I mean, I am in both places, but I'm not on the anti-Semitism committee at the temple. And I said I would not chair At My Neighbor's Table anymore, but I would chair. So I ended up, I didn't know how to say no. So anyway, there we go.
One other quick thing I'd like to bring up, there's gonna be an in-district meeting with our state senator regarding some of the housing issues, and housing is a human right. And I actually represent our temple at the Greater Boston Interfaith Organization, and that's a major fuss that we're having this year. So if people don't mind, I'm gonna send an email out to you when the district meeting is gonna be held, and would love for as many people to show up as.
And I think we're seeing a lot of the meetings about the zoning changes.
Right.
And housing in general.
Yeah, not this one.
Yeah.
No.
And sometime I might give a report from the immigration test. They're applying for a grant to do another suitcase store, but not a huge one, a smaller one, but there's a lot of stuff going on.
I moved to adjourn.
Second. Yeah.
Wait a minute, what's the channel?
Jen, you want to say something? I didn't do it.
No, what I wanted to say was, does anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah.
Julia?
Yeah, great job.
Here.
Here.
Marlene?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Bud?
Yes.
Carrie? Yes. Emmy?
Yes.
Ben?
Yeah.
And I'm also a yes. Belinda, I didn't even ask you if there was anything that you wanted to say. I'm sorry, I'm not really good at this hybrid thing here.
Yeah,
Is there
no,
any- Okay, great. Sorry. I know that was totally out of order. I know.
And the kids from the.
Now that we've adjourned, it's off the record.
And from the high school.
I make a motion that everyone have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry.
But
Is
you didn't even ask, is there anything going on in the high school? Because I have a lot of respect for the time you all put into this.
Well, there's a lot of sports going
A
on.
lot of stuff.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
congratulations to the women team.
I
Whoa.
know.
Yep, and then the Final Four.
Football, soccer.
Football's tomorrow,
Volleyball.
soccer championship is Saturday.
Hmm.
Powder puff game is Tuesday or it's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I don't know. I couldn't play in it though. I couldn't practice.
And then D game.
Oh.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, and then whatever,
Yeah,
Not
okay.
important. The boys, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day.
Good night.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.